this is Paranormal Encounters, and I'm your host, Brenda McGee. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Elizabeth Denbow. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So what I'd like to have you do is tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a spa owner. I have a day spa in Wickford, and I started my business in 2002 and as an esthetician, and gradually got into homeopathic ways of healing, such as Reiki and shamanic work, and I do massage as well. So
what got you on the path of spirit, the paranormal? Or I know you have had experiences. Can you tell us like your first experience?
That would be when I first opened my spa in 2002. It was a cute little place. I actually went there to buy equipment, and I just fell in love with the place. It was coming up for rent, so I decided to rent it. And things began to happen about maybe 6 months after I started working there. My tweezers would disappear, or I'd find bottles in different spots, and I was like, what's going on here? And I'm very sensitive to energy, and I was like, there's got to be spirits going on, and something's going on here. And I had a laundry downstairs, so I would go and do laundry at night, and I would feel like someone was watching me. And so I was telling a neighbor of mine, and she said, I have some friends that do paranormal investigation. Why don't we have them come over and look and see what's going on? So they came over, and they set up some cameras, and they were, one said she was more of an intuitive, so she could picture a mother and child. The child was up on my floor, and it was a little boy, I forget his name, and the mother stayed down around the washing machine. So she was the one watching me all the time when I was doing the laundry. My staff that I had working there didn't even want to go downstairs at night because they felt a presence down there. They didn't like it.
Oh, wow.
So, but he was mischief. I remember I had these speakers that played the same music throughout the whole spa. And I remember one occasion where I plugged it in, and I'm sitting up and everything, and I leave the room, come back, and it's unplugged from the wall. And wow. I knew he was there already, so I just said, look, I have to work today. Please just leave it plugged in. Let me listen to my music. He never really bothered me, but one significant incident was, it was Christmas Eve, and I had a friend watching the space and selling gift certificates. And she called me 2 hours into her shift, and she said, I can't stay here anymore. And I said, why? And she said, well, I heard your bottles topple over in your facial room. So I said, maybe something, on an angle or whatever. So I went in and I fixed them all. She said, and they just toppled over again. She said, something's in there, and I can't stay here. So she actually left.
Wow.
So
now, did you continue to have activity, or?
Oh yeah, I would just say stop doing that. I had my kids actually come in. They sensed him as well because they're intuitives.
Nice.
And they were small then, so they drew pictures, and they would leave it for him to see pictures as a gift from them.
Wow.
It was just so funny.
Did they ever find out what the story was? Why they were still there?
No, they just sensed who was there, but they didn't really give me any background. There was another gentleman that I found out later on from another tenant there that lived there. He used to steal gas from the next door house, so he would illegally hook up his gas line. So he was always staying downstairs. He kind of slept down there. They had like a bedroom for him, and he would watch me every once in a while because I would feel it. And I remember telling my friend about it, and she said, what do you think he looks like? And I described him as tall, like dark brown eyes, dark hair. She said, yeah, that was him. Wow. And she told me the story. That's how I knew about the gas line. But I put a microwave there. Brenda, it lasted a week, and it didn't work anymore.
Wow. You're probably pulling the energy from it.
Yeah.
Now, are you still there?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I've actually, that was started in Smith Street in North Providence, and now I'm in Wickford, and I don't have any issues there at all.
I'm sure you have spirit that come in and out of there anyway.
I think they're more fairy, angelic.
Yes.
Now than ever. But there was a second location right on George Street in North Providence. I owned that building. And my mother would come in and actually sit by the fireplace. I had a fireplace in my facial room, and she would read there at night. There was a girl that Gladys Ellen that actually came in and did an angel reading, like a gallery, and she was telling me that my mother was there. And even the tenants, I had an apartment downstairs, they told me they would hear people walking across the floor at night.
Wow.
But I would hear things during the day too.
Right. You know, a lot of people think it only happens at night, but spirit has no concept of time.
That's right.
I always tell people that. So some will say, oh, do we have to like investigate at 3 o'clock in the morning? It's like, absolutely not.
That's just for the shows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's when supposedly it's most active, you know. That's
Right.
what they say when you wake up at that time, you know. It's like
Well, the veil is the thinnest, right? Around 3, 4 o'clock.
Exactly. But they will
AM.
communicate with you, and they have no concept whatsoever of time.
I had an incident where I was walking from my facial room across the room, and I heard clear as day, "Get out." And
Wow.
I said, "No, you get out.
for you.
I own this building." But, you know, and then after that, I found out there was a portal in that building. Because I did some research. That was an Indian reservation over there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they would play with my drum. I had a drum because we did yoga there, and I would do ceremony. And then we eventually did my shamanic training there. And that's where I met some wonderful friends. And that kind of opened it up, and we opened up sacred space. And I never had any hospitals.
I was going to ask you, what got you onto the spiritual path? Like what started, you know, where you were seeing things, but I feel that you've always been intuitive.
I have.
And, you know, you need to trust yourself a little bit more. But your children, are they still, or did they keep it at when they were younger?
My daughter has actually seen someone cross over. We actually did it together in the spa on George Street. So she can, they just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
They don't want to think about that.
Right.
My son can see auras, and he's very intuitive. I mean, in my pool, I said to him, I want to send Reiki to you and tell me what you see. And he saw the lines, the Reiki energy coming from my hands.
Wow.
Because I teach that as well.
That's amazing.
So I've attuned my daughter, but she doesn't want anything to do with it. And my son's like, no thanks. But yet, if he's sick, who does he come to? Me.
Right.
To relax him and make him feel better.
Of course.
But Reiki doesn't work, though.
Of course, because they don't understand it at this point. I mean, they do, but it's like until later on, I think, is when they start to really understand it. And then they're like,
Right.
okay, I want to be a part of this.
But it was actually a wellness fair that I went to 2 years after I opened my business. It was in Providence, and they had all these booths set up, and there was one for Reiki. And I said, let me just give it a shot, you know. I've always had bad knees. I was a klutz as a kid. And so I laid down. I didn't tell her anything. She told me not to tell her anything anyway. She goes, I'll find it. Now it's intuitive and blah, blah, blah. And boy, I'm telling you, she put her hands on my knees. And I was like, how did you know I had painful knees? They're always bothering me. And even after she took her hands away, it was still tingling, and I felt warmth there.
Right.
And that kind of got the ball rolling for me. I'm like, what is this? Like, I can't see it, but I know something's happening. So I went to All That Matters, and I started my training there for Reiki. I became a teacher. So I taught that in my space. And then just, you know, wanting more. And my husband found Elizabeth Denbow. That's who I took my shamanic training from. And then I met a whole bunch of friends, like my friend Larry, and you know, and kind of opened my eyes to there's something more than what I learned even in class.
Right.
So, and I think I'll always be a student, but I kind of want to open myself up more to my gifts. But like you said, trust.
That's the thing, you know, I always tell a lot of people, just, you know, trust what you're getting, you know, be open to it, because spirit will communicate. It's sometimes we're looking for these big signs, and it's little signs. Like today, I had to go for different testing, and I was up on the 3rd floor, and I was by myself, and I was kind of like, wow, this is really overwhelming for me. All of a sudden, a white feather just flies by the outside window. Now the 3rd floor just flies by the window. And I'm like,
the angels are saying.
I'm like, thanks, Mom. I know you're here, because that's her sign for me. But
I love
it
that.
was like the 3rd floor. I just look out the window, and there was the white feather. But yeah, a lot of people see spirit differently. I see a lot of it in my mind's eye.
Okay.
I will see sometimes full apparitions. Have you ever been unnerved by, a spirit or an energy that you've felt or?
Yes, and that was at George Street at times, because I believe there was some residual energy there. But I remember driving down the road. This was several years after my grandmother passed, and I saw her in the rearview mirror as a picture that I had of her.
Wow.
She was dressed in that outfit with the pearls at that age, and I was just like, what? And then gone, and I was like, okay, but I want to see more though. I want to help if I can help them, or if they're one of my guides, I really want to kind of step into that, being more comfortable with it. So, I know that my son has sent someone in the house at night, and my daughter sometimes will call me up. You have to clear my room. There's someone in there that's I believe someone had some kind of a fire or something, because he's burned, she said. Oh. And he used to watch her at night, so I'd go and open up sacred space, and now they know that they can't scare her. They can come in, but there's a boundary with her, and she hasn't said anything in a long time. So
I always tell people that before they enter their house, they should always say, you have to stay here, you're not allowed to follow. Because what happens is spirit sees the light or knows that you can sense them, you can see them, so they will follow you. I'm not saying they're bad or anything like that, but that's what could be happening also. So I always tell people, before you walk in your door, say you have to stay here, you're not allowed to follow, and they actually have to listen.
Oh, okay.
So I always tell people, try doing that, because, like we did with the, cutting the cords and things like that. But I don't know if you've noticed, but there's so much spirit activity out there where the place that I'm living at right now, I'll look out my window and you're thinking that people are walking down the street. And my friend actually, he said to me, Brenda, there's people standing across the street looking in this window. Oh my God. And I said, I know. And he says, you really need to get curtains. I said, well, you can shut the curtains. He goes, but they're that clear.
Wow.
So they're really, I don't know I know with the lunar eclipse and things like that, the energy, but it seems like a lot of people.
These full moons are getting more powerful.
They are, and people are seeing a lot more. And people are thinking that it's regular people, and it's not.
Right.
Because all of a sudden they disappear. Even my daughter gets unnerved by it. Because when she was younger, I actually had to shut down her gifts until she was ready for them.
Oh, wow.
Because she was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. So
wow.
I think a lot of kids are seeing a lot more, because I get a lot of calls about children.
Well, they don't understand and what's going on, and they're very open to that because they don't have those walls yet, or they haven't been taught to be afraid of it.
Right.
So they're just open to it. You know
what it is also that I'm finding, like a lot of people don't realize that they're intuitive or that they have something until somebody says, that do you ever just have a knowing of things? Or, and then I always tell them, a lot of people, if your children are saying that they're seeing something, you need to believe them.
Right.
Like that is the most important thing. So how old are your children, if you don't mind me asking?
16 and 18.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, because I remember even a couple of years ago, my son saying, I just saw someone walk down the street, or I just saw a car go over there. And I'm like, what car? There was like no one around. And he's like, yeah, Mom, I saw it. Okay. And I never took that away from him. I always said, okay, but I didn't see it. You didn't see that? No.
Yeah. Yep.
But
so people are definitely seeing a whole lot more.
I think we're gonna have more activity, with all the media feeding the fear factor of everything going on in the world. And what do spirits feed on? Fear.
Yes.
And they become stronger. So, then you're starting to sense that energy. And with the full moon and with just the situation with the economy, it's a lot of,
it's hard. I always tell people, try to raise your vibration, because when you raise your vibration, the lower energies stay lower than you are.
I remember listening to during Virtue say, if you want to change your vibration, you just say, how can I assist you? How can I assist you? And that'll raise the vibration. And so when I hired an answering service recently, every time they answer a call for me, how may I assist you? Because it raises their energy,
nice.
And then it raises the energy of the client calling in. And I remember checking my messages. I had calls that weren't going through. And it's like I heard her say that, and I felt my energy go up. And I was just like, that is
Little things like
awesome.
that.
That's all it really takes.
Right.
We can help so many people. By one person at a time, you can change the world.
Yeah.
Because we affect one another. It's like the butterfly effect.
Right.
A smile creates another smile.
Exactly.
And you pay it forward. So, that's how little it starts small, but it builds up momentum. So that's all we have to remember.
Exactly.
And
you're really, really gifted, and you really need to, I know you'll be seeing a lot more, but be careful what you wish for.
I know. That's what my mother always said. Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish
it.
for. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because a lot of times, like lately, I'll see like flashes, which I know are angels, like flashes, but a lot of times I've been seeing this blue orb, and people are telling me that that's Archangel Michael. But it's funny that like different things are happening to keep us aware of things. But I just think it's amazing, the energy wise, and even like doing Reiki, we're taught one way, but then all of a sudden we take it to another level, whatever we feel we need to do.
That's the thing. It's like with any education, you're going to get the basics, and then you're going to modify it for you.
Yeah.
It's just like with a recipe. Someone gives you a recipe and you modify it and you make it your own. It's like I took Reiki. I started probably in 2007. I had my teacher certificate. So then I learned shamanic work. So then now it all depends on who assembles in my class is how I'm going to teach the class. I still keep the basic principles because you have to, but I'll add in my shamanic or different intuitive ways, the pendulum, things like that to help you navigate and get your own answers depending on who is in the class. So if I know you're advanced, then I'm going to teach you more advanced steps plus the basics. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is. And the spirit things and stuff like that. It's coming.
Well, I'm ready.
Yeah, you're ready. And you just need to trust yourself a little bit more, and because you've got it. I mean,
well, that's why I'm starting to come to your classes.
I know, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just you need to trust yourself more and be open to it. And I always tell people that, like, do little things. Like before, I was telling my friend that a lot of times before I'm going to start a session or whatever, I'll go on YouTube on my phone and I'll play Calling All Angels. And if you sit there, all of a sudden you'll feel this wave of energy. And like, then close your eyes and you can see things in your mind's eye. I always tell people, don't look for the full apparition kind of thing, because that takes so much energy for a spirit to do that they would have to probably drain all of your electricity just to show themselves that way. So I always tell people, it's a feeling kind of thing, like when we do with Reiki, the feelings. Well, let's see what's going on with their energy and stuff like that. It's the same exact way.
My son, I remember he could, when he was younger, he could see auras. And he was trying to teach me how to see auras one day. And he said, you can't look at someone and just look at them. You have to squint a little bit.
Yeah.
So, so you can kind of see what's around them, and then you can see the color. So a lot of times it might be out of the corner of your eye. It can't be dead on, because then it would require a lot of energy.
Right. And what's funny, because, people say they see colors with auras and stuff like that. Do you know I only ever see, like, say if you're talking or something, and I'm looking past you or whatever, like I see like a white outline, like I can see that part of it. And it's funny because I don't really see colors with auras. I just see, and it's kind of weird sometimes because it, like, if you really pay attention to it, it like moves the person still, but it like kind of moves and wavers a little bit.
The aura goes out so many feet.
But it's so weird because I always, people are saying, do you see auras? And I said, I do, but just not in color.
Right.
But I see them, but it's funny that you can feel, like just with your hands, how far it goes out.
Well, it's like when we do Reiki, we can feel that little thing in between, the energy field.
Right.
So you're actually seeing the field. That's probably why you don't see the color.
Right.
But I think most likely it's the brilliance of the color or the energy that you're seeing, not necessarily the color, but you know what I mean.
Right.
So that would be how you would see a weak aura or something like that. That's what I would think anyway, if I were you. You know, Is that true? Like, do you see a thicker or is it brighter for you?
Yeah, it's like a thicker white, like a solid almost. Like you would see.
Like if you needed to give someone energy, their aura would be not that bright and maybe translucent.
Right, yeah, some of them, like you see a wavering thing, and then sometimes if you're like really, especially if they're in if they have a solid background, it's a lot easier because you just focus around them, and that's when it turns to like a color. A lot of times it'll blend in the background. But it's funny because the more that you look, like I used to practice like in the mirror, like sitting there and looking at the mirror, and then I would see the outside line, and I was
try that.
You have to, but see, that's what it's all about. Like the more that you do things, like there's so many things that you can do. It's just it helps with the concentration and what you're seeing.
Right. Right.
But it's amazing how they do that. Now, if someone wanted to make an appointment with you, how could they get in touch with you?
They can call me, or they can email me. They can even text. My phone number is 401-233-4544.
And what's your email?
It's tranquilitydayspa@gmail.com.
Now, do you have a Facebook page?
I do. It's
for your shop?
It's Tranquility Day Spa RI. That's the official name.
Oh, nice. Nice. So you do Reiki sessions, you do...
Reiki, I do hot stone therapy, and I do Thai yoga massage, table and mat, and facials, and it's an eco spa. It's all organic and chemical free.
Very nice. So what would you like to leave us with? Is there something that you want to say? Because we are running out of time.
No, I'm just so excited to be here, and I love sharing that story because my kids still talk about it to this day, that they thought it was so cute that they would leave pictures for him and they would talk to him. So I love all these things they're coming up, all the energy. And I think, I'm blessed that I have this gift.
And a lot of people I tell, sometimes if you're experiencing, it could just be, they're just going through the motions. They don't even see you. They don't even acknowledge you. But I always tell them, if they're acknowledging and stuff, try to cross them over. Try to have them go into the light, because a lot of them are afraid.
Or they're lost.
And they're lost. So I always, I'll call on a family member to come down and meet them, so then they can help cross them. But I always tell people, so we'll have to teach that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Because we don't want them to stay. We want them to cross into the light.
Well, I remember reading quickly from Roland Comtour, and he said that when my father passed, he said he was lost.
Yeah.
He just didn't know what happened, or
right.
It's like that.
Exactly, and they don't realize that they've passed.
Right. So that's a good thing.
We go through a lot of things with that, or they're afraid to go into the light because they don't know what to expect.
Exactly.
Well, I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. And
if you would like to get in touch with Elizabeth, you can. You have her information, or you can email me at paranormalencounterstv9@gmail.com. And if you have any paranormal activity or have questions, you can reach me at any time. And thanks for watching. Thank you.
Thank you.